Have you checked the children?
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
Sometimes that is better.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Horror Show. I'm Cecil Laird.
Robert Duell.
And I mean Fuego here.
And we are here to review the sequel to a movie that we reviewed, what was it, a year ago? Or 2 years ago?
I think it was maybe it was 2017. I think it's been a minute.
Well, they said 2 years in the movie.
It's only 2 years in the movie, but it's not been that long.
I thought it was only a year since the last one came out.
No, I think it's more, actually, because
really?
how much older does that kid look?
Yeah, well, look, puberty spurts. You know what I mean?
Perhaps.
Nonetheless,
snake bite.
guys, we're here.
Snake bite, yeah.
Guys, we're here to talk about The Babysitter 2 Killer Queen, which is now available on Netflix. It is directed by McG, just like the first one.
For better or for worse.
And we did a trailer reaction recently, and quite frankly, we were all surprised at how much we were into it because they brought back almost all of the original cast based on the trailer alone from the first movie. All of the
Cultists.
wacky characters, the cultists that got killed off in the first movie, all returned in the trailer, and we were left to wonder whether or not the cult leader, Samara, would return as well.
Oh.
And so here we are to talk about the
Still my
movie,
heart.
and I will say that this movie was definitely fun and of the same sort of style of fun as the first one. However, I feel personally that this one took it a couple steps too far at a couple of times that brought me out of the movie entirely. And I was like, okay, this is just too much. Like, I'm with the over-the-top kills and all of that, but there's a moment in the third act for sure that was just absolutely too much for me. And it was, round one kind of bullcrap that was just trash. But overall, it was still an enjoyable movie, and I liked the fact that it clings to the 80s sort of trope of picking up right where the last one leaves off, even if it's a couple of years later. So overall, I still enjoyed the movie, but I wish I could have enjoyed it more.
Oh, okay.
Lay it on him, son.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to like this a lot more than you.
All right, fair enough. Go ahead.
No, actually, I had a lot of fun with this, and I was talking with Fuego off camera briefly about this and everything, and the banter, I think I had a lot more fun with this movie than I did in the first. Like, don't get me wrong, the first one is still really funny, but the banter from some of the characters that we have, even from like the smaller characters like his doctor, things like that, some of those lines literally had me rolling. Like I don't like, and just also too, like being able to, like, you had a little more fleshed out of like the evil character, the evil kids and shit like that and whatnot, which I enjoyed. I liked some of those characters, like our meathead and everything. Like his character, I thought was like the funniest out of them.
I'm not even mad.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not even bad, bro. You got so good for you.
Yeah, this movie is stupid,
Oh.
but it's of the variety that I can find so much enjoyment with the fact that it's aware of how stupid it is in a lot of ways, and yet slicker, and definitely just I feel like there was more money thrown at it, with like the weird segue sequences, which I know you said you didn't like as much. Some worked and some didn't, but I actually feel like, yes, you're right, the development of some of the supporting characters who didn't have as much, I found the villains a lot funnier in this. I found the parents a lot funnier in this.
I loved the parents.
Ironically enough, I didn't like the main kid in this anywhere near as much as in the first one. I didn't feel that endearing connection, especially because there has to be a new love interest, right? And so without spoiling who it is, that part didn't work for me, man. Yeah. But everything else did. So.
I can kind of see where you're coming at with that and everything, because once we start getting towards the end, it was a little soft.
Yeah, and also
everything. It was like soft serve ice cream,
Yeah, and also the connection and the explanation.
Yeah, like I get that, and like what you were talking to, it's like some that scene that like towards the end. Yeah, those are the scenes that'll basically like. It doesn't matter if you are the only one in the house, but you have that self-embarrassment of,
It's cringe.
Yeah, I'm like, God, I'm watching this. It's like, I need to fast forward.
Yeah, it's super
That's
cringe.
literally what one of these scenes was.
I'm honestly wondering what scene you're referring to now. Was it the one with
It was
that song that was on Fresh Prince with the jump on it or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cringeworthy.
Yeah,
for sure.
that was the scene that, like, it literally was just like,
I'm like,
I
why?
feel embarrassed watching this.
Yeah.
Like, this is weird.
Well, and that's why I was like, McG is definitely a music video director who segued into making
Yeah.
movies. So it was very evident.
It was colorful. It was pretty.
So the story is about
Sorry, man.
the main character from the first movie picking up 2 years afterwards, and basically what we find out is that no one has believed him as to what happened from the first movie. There's no body because the babysitter disappeared, so they don't necessarily believe anything that he's said, and people just think that he's crazy, including his own parents. And he's got a reputation at school now, and all of a sudden, 2 years later, he is hanging out with this new group of kids led by the neighbor that he kind of fell for in the first movie. And it turns out that he has once again accidentally gotten embroiled with this cult, and then almost all the characters from the first movie show up, including Bella Thorne, the meathead, the black guy, and the cookie maker.
Yeah, the Asian.
Oh
The
god!
Asian cookie
Honestly,
maker.
that was the one character out of both movies I did not like.
She was the most
She was-
disappointingly underdeveloped.
That
They-
and
they could've given
her
her a lot
character
more.
was very pointless.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in the acting
Sorry.
part.
Yeah. Okay.
So story-wise, though, it's just the kid having to survive, and he meets this new cool girl that comes to school that he falls for pretty much immediately, and kind of gets tangled up with her throughout the series of events, and they both have to try and survive together. Yep. And ultimately, there's a showdown with the cultists and them, and there's a moment where they're resurrecting someone, and is it or is it not Samara Weaving from the first movie, that kind of thing. Overall, the story was well enough developed for the silliness that was the movie, quite frankly. It didn't need to be any deeper than it was, but just the execution of parts of it didn't sit that great with me. A lot of it was funny, and this might as well be, the horror version of Airplane 2. You know what I mean? It's as far
That's
as
not a harsh assessment.
Wow.
I'm
The
saying
Zuckers
it's.
weren't even part
Leslie
of the
Nielsen's
second one.
rolling in his
I know. I'm
grave
just
right
saying it's
now.
not. To me, it's not as good, but it's still trying to be that slapsticky kind of thing, and it
Yeah.
goes even farther
That's an intriguing
than the first
assessment,
one.
actually.
So
Yeah,
that's
way
that's
farther.
the way it is to me. So
I would say more so it would be Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I saw that in theaters, and I
Like that would be
chuckled.
more
I
that
chuckled
the
with myself.
slapstick kind of stuff. Oh, I loved.
but even Dracula Dead and
Loving
Loving It doesn't go as far as that
It. Well,
one
God,
scene
no.
that I hated.
No, no, but
yeah, that was a Mel Brooks, if I remember.
Like
right.
the
actually,
problem
yeah.
is there's aspects of like Scary Movie 5 levels of stupid thrown into this.
True.
I haven't gotten to 5 yet.
Well, you're lucky.
And I think that was the last one, so maybe that says
That's what
something.
I'm saying. Yeah. So anyway, that was my thoughts on the story.
Honestly, like I still enjoyed the story and whatnot. It was simple, cut dry, and everything. And it was I don't know. This was one of those like because it was that horror, stupidly dumb comedy that I can get behind the cult story aspect of this. So that was made it a little bit more enjoyable. Just on like the just yeah I don't know without like spoiling too much and everything about it. I don't know if it necessarily would be too much of a spoiler.
Well, still, let's avoid it.
Yeah, valid enough. I don't know. It was the story was fleshed out well enough and everything. There really wasn't a whole lot you could technically do with it, but it was done well enough.
Sure. I mean,
Sure.
yeah, this was borderline brain dead dumb in so many aspects, and I'm actually going to echo Cecil a little bit in this regard, in the fact that I felt like scenes and dialogue were so funny and so amusing, but the narrative, like the actual story they were trying to tell, it's pretty boring. I mean, it didn't really throw any curveballs whatsoever, including some of the twists in the third act about, and in the first act, actually.
No, because you
about-
knew exactly what the hell was going to happen.
it was totally predetermined and just easily and choreographed as far as what was going to transpire.
But that's the nice thing that I kind of noticed about even both of these movies in general. It's kind of that semi check your brain off and go in there for the banter and the quips between each other. That's really the highlight of these movies, personally.
Most notably, the Stoner Fathers and the
Oh
Stupid
my
Killers.
god, it was so great.
Acting wise, I feel like almost everyone was great. I mean, there was again the cookie baker.
Yeah, I didn't like her.
Not
She
the
was-
biggest fan, but
Yeah.
the shirtless dude was awesome. I actually thought Bella Thorne was still pretty funny. Like, she's almost immediately over the top when she's like, everything's effed up again, and she's like got to flip her bangs or her pigtails when she does it. It's like so over
She's
the top.
definitely
It's
like
really
her
funny.
character is definitely eccentric and everything. You can kind of see like why the career didn't go the way she wanted.
Well, and I like the whole again.
Yeah.
Like, that made me laugh.
Yes,
And I like,
yeah,
She's
and-
got here. Fuck.
And also, sorry, OnlyFans, if you spent any.
Oh yeah, I heard about that debacle.
That's a whole
Dumbasses, what do you expect?
So acting wise for you guys,
Yeah, I didn't have like really. It's like I'm not gonna really say too much about it because my only thing was just the cookie Asian flamethrower chick.
Okay.
I didn't care for her for either one of those.
Yeah, just to double down about the fact that I was so amused by Ken Marino and the other father, and they're on the VR headsets, taking bong rips and all this stuff. I'm like, is this in the same movie?
but I'm not-
as
but I'm not
everything
gonna
else that's
smoke it.
happening?
Yeah.
because
I'll
that's
pull
where the narrative was a little disjointed, as Cecil mentioned, and it just didn't. It wasn't as cohesive. But
Yeah.
there's some really funny moments in this movie. that I'll give
Oh,
them
most
credit for,
definitely.
and well acted on the comedic level. So,
now the last thing I think is definitely worth talking about in the film is the gore. Because they definitely leaned into the over-the-top splatter gore effects in this one, even more so than the first movie.
way more.
I mean, the first movie got silly with the black guy constantly getting sprayed in the face with blood from different people.
Yeah.
But this felt even more gratuitous to me. So I don't have a
great.
problem with that because I like gore, but this was almost Evil Dead levels of
Yeah,
over-the-top
that's
silliness.
I honestly I think that's
Deliberately.
why I enjoyed it that much with the gore.
Fair enough.
Just because it was that stupid campy gore.
Yeah.
Like over the top, like the consistency, like you just clean your face off. Oh, here's another big ass splash of blood, like.
yeah.
And then again, there's the random, like even still, like the jokes that they tied in from the first movie and like going into the second. Those why is he shirtless? Like just those little jokes I thought helped to definitely elevate just that little in between, not charisma, but chemistry between each one of the characters.
Okay.
Yeah, whether it was beheadings or propellers or chandeliers or whatever the hell it was, and also in the finale, there's a few melting people in the finale without getting really too much into it. I thought that stuff looked really dope.
Yeah.
I thought it looked good, and that's one of the few times where we have, as opposed to practical splatter on people, we actually got some CGI, and it was pretty convincing. I got to say, it
That
looked
was
solid.
fair enough.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap the review up saying that this last bit might be considered spoilerish. I'm going to still avoid the spoiler, but what I say might lead you to understand what happens. So be careful if you don't want to have the end possibly spoiled. But what I'll say is the end, they tried to do a cool reveal. But the problem is, by the time that cool reveal happens, they've already ruined the reveal numerous times over in ways that didn't feel like it was worth ruining that reveal in those ways numerous times over.
I tried to
They should have
disagree with you,
just
but you're right.
waited until they do the reveal at the end, and then it would have been awesome. And then they did something cool where they turned everything kind of on its head, where the thing you thought was the thing at the end of the first isn't necessarily the thing at the end of the second. And I did like that, but I feel it was so clumsily handled that I wished it had been done slightly differently.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was kind of saying. Like that ending was kind of like soft served a
That's
little
fair.
bit.
That's fair.
That's really, and that wasn't necessarily a bad ending because it could have been
Kind of
worse.
backtracky.
It was and everything because I don't know.
Again, we can't spoil, but it's
Yeah.
kind of backtracking.
Yeah, it was. We'll just leave it at that.
So I think that's pretty much everything we can say about this without getting too spoilery. So if you guys haven't seen it yet, The Babysitter 2 Killer Queen is definitely worth your time, especially if you watch it back to back with the first one. I mean, there's a callback joke within the first 30 seconds that had me laughing, just with someone getting hit in the face with a ball again and numerous times, and then just someone yelling in the background. I was like, yes!
You found my dick, Cole. Good job.
Yeah.
Coleslaw, as they were calling it.
Yeah,
Coleslaw.
yeah.
That was funny.
Yeah,
That was
lots of funny stuff. So it's a funny movie. Don't expect it to be super deep or super awesome, and in my opinion, as good as the first one, but still very worth watching, especially as a back-to-back. Pardon me. Horror jam.
Get it.
So that's going to do it, though. If you have seen it, let us know what your thoughts are, your non-spoiler thoughts in the comments down below. If you haven't seen it, let us know if this is going to sway you one way or another. Thank you very much for watching, nonetheless. Until next time, I've been Cecil Laird.
I ain't even mad, bro.
And yes, you hear Queen in this movie. I've been having your Fuego.
And remember,
Stay scared.
Not just that, Killer Queen.
Yeah.
Killer Queen.
All right.